I live in San Diego. I love it. It's amazing. It's very different from where I'm from, Georgia. I'm from Georgia. It's completely different. The people are different. The culture is different. And I love it. I wouldn't say that I don't still love Georgia and appreciate it, but it's just something new. 'Cause I just moved there. It hasn't even been a year that I've been there. Other than that, I've been in Georgia my whole life. I'm 30. So yeah, it's big when you're an adult, like finally living somewhere else, especially so far away from my family and like my original community. Well, I think it's because you have to find your spot in that community. Culture and community are so tied together. And like if you haven't found your spot in the community, there's no way I feel like that you will understand and feel the culture. So, of course, you feel more at home or understand the culture of where you're from and where you grew up. When you move to somewhere else and you're trying to make friends or trying to figure out what to eat in a place that you aren't familiar with it's different. It's hard and it makes you appreciate the culture that you did have or the community that you did have when you were somewhere familiar as opposed to when you're somewhere new. It's homey. There's so much culture. It's a specific culture too. Like having grown up in it, it's a kind of specific that can't really be explained. It's just understood. Like if you're from there or know people that are from there, it's in the food, it's in the way we talk, which is I guess that's anywhere really, anywhere is culture, but the one specifically in the Atlanta area is special. The chicken wings. I can't order wings anywhere else. That's been a big thing for me in California. And Christian, my boyfriend, knows that. Like we go somewhere and he's like, "You want the wings?" And I'm side-eyeing him and I'm like, "Do you remember where I'm from?" Like, I'm not ordering wings in California. It was a biological sciences program in the School of Agriculture, completely unrelated. They didn't have a nursing program there. So I had to find a master's program that would allow me to get my nursing license and pursue my midwifery dream. And while I was taking the prerequisites for that program is when I started on with my airline. I'm in a different department. It was just a job to have some money while I was in school. When I got the acceptance to my master's program is when I also got the job offer to be a flight attendant. And now it's like a fork in the road. When people ask about like pivotal points in my life, I always think about this immediately. I had to choose. And I'm like, well, you know what? School will be there. I'll just go try this out, travel the world. And now it's been 7 years. And I do think about school sometimes. But being a flight attendant has just been so rewarding and amazing. And it's really more of a lifestyle than a job to me. It's been rewarding, so rewarding for myself, for my family, for my friends. Just opportunities in life. I felt so blessed. I guess the point would be that the accessibility is linked to desirability as well. Because if you really, really, really want to get out and explore the world, you can do it. Of course, money goes into play, but people spend money on all kinds of things. You spend money on your food. For us women, it's hair, nails, makeup, our clothes. So it's like, what's important to you? If traveling is important to you, you'll do that. If you've been afforded the opportunity to just like have that implemented in your life, like how I was growing up, then it comes natural to you. But for some people, it just boils down to desire, I think, more than accessibility. It's going back to cultural, like how you express yourself outside of language, whether it be like a physical cue, a head nod, or just knowing when to guess what someone wants or needs without them having to say it. And that's part of just working in the service industry, period. But it helps you read people better. All the cultures around the world are so different, and I've been blessed to have experienced so many, but I think it's a never-ending lesson. You have no idea. Like the imagination that people have, why they have it, and how it affects what they do and their creativity and their goals. And then some people who are just happy living a slow life and finding appreciation in that for them and for yourself, that, like, you know, they're hustlers and you talk to them and you might feel motivated by talking to the hustlers. And then you run into the people who live a slow life on an island and you find appreciation for that too. The slow and the fast and the balance in between. The fast and the slow, and like where you fit in that. Like what's too fast for you and what's too slow for you. Or for me, really, what's too fast for me, what's too slow for me. And what makes me feel satisfied and fulfilled. That looks different for a lot of people. The word purpose gets thrown around a lot, but I think purpose really just goes back to satisfaction. Is your soul satisfied? Are you spiritually satisfied? Do you wake up with something on your mind or go to sleep with something on your mind? And are you comfortable with that? What do you need to do to quiet your mind? And I think that I'm finding my sweet spot. Sometimes I need different types of quiet. I'll read a book, and I wouldn't like list off like, oh, I've read these books, because now it seems like reading has been less about pleasure and more about learning. But I'll read romance novels that have absolutely nothing to do with anything. And the book might not even be good, but it's just like a story, and it's somebody else's story. That's a good like getaway for me, and just the variety. Roller skating. I love the roller skating rink. Or even like if I'll just put on my skates and like go to a tennis court or something and skate by myself. Just the mind-body connection when I'm by myself is a great way to like settle down and reconnect. But then at the skating rink, watching other people do the same with themselves is amazing. And watching what people can do with their bodies, with their, like, the balance is impressive, the creativity, the fun people have. I love watching people have fun. That makes me feel good. Just anything positive, I think, a variety of positivity is what I go to kind of keep things quiet. I love that when I'm off, I'm done. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. There's nobody calling me, emailing me. And I will briefly know how that feels. I like dibbled and dabbled with real estate for a little bit. I still have like half of a foot in. But that's another industry that's like hustle, go. You know, it's emails, phone calls. You have to be somewhere. And I admire the people who are in it. But that's for the hustler. And I don't think I have a big hustler in me. And that's another thing that I've had to accept and appreciate, that that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to be a hustler. You need more people like me who are just like appreciating all the aspects, including the hustle, but outside of it too. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be finally. But I can't say that I'm completely satisfied in that way because it just goes back to that like curiosity, I guess, about back to wanting to be an astronomer, like curiosity about the universe. And then like there are still a lot of people, experiencing issues with becoming mothers, whatever that looks like for them, whether it's like having a baby or adopting, anything. Like I want to help with that. I sometimes wonder if I'm being challenged enough. When I first started as a flight attendant, I'm like, this is too easy. I'm going to be a pilot. I took pilot lessons. That didn't last long. My stomach gets a little, like, uncomfortable on those small planes when you're first starting out with the pilot lessons. And I don't think I have fun up there. The pilots get locked in their flight deck for like hours, not just with like two of them. I like being in the back with all the people, having fun, pouring drinks, looking out the window. But yeah, I think I'm still looking for a challenge intellectually. But other than that, I think I'm pretty blessed. I feel like God has guided me to where I am now for sure. Reaching a point in life where we are now like considering each other when it's time to make the next steps. I think that it kind of goes into exactly that, you being a couple. Like, I don't worry about it. I don't wonder about it. I just know that when the time comes, we'll decide and we'll go and it'll be what it is. Like, even when we were finding our spot in San Diego to move in together, he would always say, like, I know we'll find the right spot. And I believed him. And we did. Like, the spot that we have is perfect. Like, I think the only thing... See, I can't even remember the only thing that we don't like right now. I can name one thing I don't like. The broiler in the oven is in the bottom instead of inside. That's the only thing. And that, when I think about that, I'm like, wow. Like, I trust that we'll end up wherever we're supposed to be. And I trust that he also believes that too. So it kind of just makes things easy when you're with who you're supposed to be with. Say he had a farm and have you heard this story? So say he had a farm and he had a few horses, right? And he had a horse. He has a farm, he has a horse, and one of the horses runs away. And his neighbors are like, oh, that's so unlucky, that's so unfortunate that your horse ran away. He's like, yeah, well, I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky, right? So then the horse comes back, but the horse comes back with two horses, like two horse friends that he met or whatever. And so now he has more horses than he had before. And so his neighbors are like, oh, you're so lucky, now you have all these horses. Okay. So his son goes out to train the new horses. And he has an accident, falls off the horse and breaks his back. And so his neighbors are like, oh, that's so unlucky and unfortunate that your son broke his back. And he's like, well, I don't know. The farmer's like, I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky. And then a war starts and they're drafting all the young able-bodied men, but his son can't go because he's broken his back. And so it's like the thing that was just unlucky is now lucky. So it's like when things are going our way or aren't going that way, I guess kind of back to what Christian was saying about the not too high and not too low. It's like, or how I was talking about balance, right? Just taking it a step at a time and trusting that your steps are going where they're supposed to go. You know, everything isn't necessarily lucky or unlucky, but things are aligned. Wisdom, I think it goes back to the listening a lot. You know, listening and asking questions. I ask a lot of questions. I buy books of questions, and I'll ask people. And my friends were laughing at me the other day. We're out having drinks, and I'm like, you know what? Let's ask questions. Because it just, you learn a lot about yourself, about other people, their stories. And I think that's where the wisdom comes from. And my mother. I learned a lot from her. But yeah, listening and asking the right questions. Not just any questions, the right questions. That's what I think is so respectable about the journalism industry. People who like are seeking like information from other people or just, it's amazing. Cause like I don't know. You gotta listen. I like the listening is a lost art thing. I think that has to do with our how much we consume. You know, it's like when is it quiet? You know, when do people just sit now? It's like we're always, guilty. I listen to a lot of music, right? But sometimes I listen to music that doesn't have any words, right? So that when you do hear words, they're meaningful. Like you're not just filling the air with noise, you know? Words weigh differently amongst different people. So like the right question to me or a meaningful question to me might not be as meaningful to somebody else. But I guess now that I think about it, you ask the right question and it just depends on who you're asking the question to, because the answer is what matters. It's like, what kind of answer can I get with this question? You know, they talk about when you ask kids, you know, how was your day at school, right? And it's like, it was good. There are some kids who will just leave it at that, and there are some kids who will tell you about their whole day. But the kid who said good, maybe you just asked the wrong question. I don't have one word, but like everything and nothing at the same time. That's how it feels. Like I have so many thoughts that when I try to grab one, I'm still empty-handed. Kind of like all over the place, but right here too.